this video, we're going to discuss the basics of using Excel to make graphs and to use those graphs to do some data analysis. So let's just pretend these are my data that I gathered in the lab. I measured temperature every 10 seconds for 60 seconds. All right, so the important thing first and foremost is you have to look at your data input. The information that you want to be on the x-axis always has to be on the left. And the information that you want to be on the y-axis always has to be on the right. The reason for that is this variable is called the independent variable, and this one is the dependent variable, right? Temperature is changing as a function of time. As time passes, temperature is changing. So the dependent variable is what goes on the y, and the independent variable is what's going on the x. So the first thing I do is I highlight my data, and then I go to Insert, Chart, and then you just select smooth lines. Okay, now we've got some things that we need to do to our graph, into our chart here. And there are a couple of different ways you can do this. I'll show you both ways. So with your chart selected, click this little plus sign, and you can add a trend line that way. That's one way to add a trend line. The other way that you can add your trend line is with it selected. Up here in the top corner, you can click Add Chart Element, and then select trend line that way. Okay? We always want to do a linear trend line. Now, linear trend line appears on my graph. It's the dashed line right here. Now, we also need some more information from my, where'd the mouse go? We also need some more information from my trend line here. So you can right-click on the trend line. That brings up this sidebar here. We want to click Display Equation and display R squared. Okay, those are two important pieces of information you're going to need for your lab report, for your pre-lab as well. The equation, this y equals 0.3814x plus 23.743, that is the equation of this trend line right here. Okay, and you're going to be using this equation in your pre-lab activities. So let's pretend I want to know what the temperature will be when the time is 45 seconds. Okay, how would I solve that? Well, just plug in 45 as x and solve for y, and that will tell me the corresponding coordinate at 45 seconds. You'll be doing something similar in your pre-lab activities, except you'll be doing, for instance, concentration and absorbance, or concentration and density, rather than time and temperature. Now this R squared value tells you how good a linear fit your trend line is. And the closer your R squared value is to 1, the better fit it is. Now, a R squared value of 0.95 isn't bad, right? It's showing you that you've got a few data points that are a little too low or a little too high to make it truly linear, but an R squared value of 0.95 is pretty good. So you always want to display the equation and display the R squared values. Now there are some other things we need to add. So go to Add Chart Element. Now we want to do, axis titles. There's the horizontal one. Now, what is being graphed on the x-axis? Is that my time or is that my temperature? Well, if you've forgotten, just go back and look at your data, right? This is the time. So we would type time, and then, and then we also need Add Chart Element, axis titles. Vertical. This is temperature. Now, obviously, you would want to include your units as well. You would want to include those units as well. I'm just doing this kind of quickly here. But you would put time, and then in parentheses you'd put seconds, and then you put temperature, and then in parentheses you put degrees Celsius. And now for your title, you can call this whatever you want. Time versus temperature usually makes the most sense because you're showing what's being plotted against what. Okay, so that title is at your discretion, but you do need to have a title in there as well. Okay, those are the basics of just making a simple graph. Now, when you print this out, you can print it out as an entire page, or you can copy and paste this into Word and then print it out that way. One more thing I wanted to show you, if you right click on your trend line and on your grid line here and you click Format Major Grid Lines. Let's pretend that I want this to be in 5s as opposed to 10s. I can do that. So if I go this way, wait, that's just showing the tick lines, just kidding. Not grid lines, we want format axis. That's what I want. So this is in 10s right now. Let's pretend I want it in 5s. It automatically resets the minor. Now I've got it in 5s. Okay, you can make this in 1s. You can change the tick marks there to whatever makes you happy. I hope this helps you. You're going to be doing a lot of graphing in this class. You're going to be using standard curves, and all of them will follow this general procedure. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or stop by my office.